What's good, everyone? So I've watched the Continental, and as a fan of the John Wick film franchise, I was super excited for this series. And after watching all 3 episodes, does it live up to the hype? So this 3-part series explores the origin behind the iconic hotel for assassins from the John Wick universe, the Continental. And everything that happens in this show is seen through the eyes of a young Winston Scott as he's dragged into the hellscape of 1970s New York City to face a past that he thought he'd left behind. Firstly, this show creatively departs from what we've become familiar with from the John Wick universe, and I really enjoyed that about this show. The creators deciding to do something different, I'm all for that. And this is also a period piece, and I think the creative team also did a really good job with the set design, costumes, and other things, and transporting us back in time to a gritty 1970s New York. The Continental Hotel itself is completely different from the movies. It's lawless, it's run to the ground, it's far from the glossy and high-class version that we see in the John Wick movies. If you're a fan of the John Wick franchise, then you would probably think that this show, is going to be 3 episodes of onslaught, killing spree every 2 seconds that we're used to from the John Wick movies. But this show takes more of a grounded approach, most notably with the story. There's a lot more character stories. There's characters that interlink with each other with deeper connections and tons more dialogue compared to the movies. I'll get to my thoughts on the main story, but the characters in this show, they're cool. But the character development, it needed to be better. It's really shallow. Some of them I connected with and I found interesting, and some of them I just didn't really care for. Now on to the main story. I think the show, there were some good ideas and intentions to excel in departments that the John Wick films didn't really excel in, and that is in a deep emotional narrative. If you're a fan of the John Wick franchise like myself, it's just pure high-octane action. It's Keanu Reeves killing a million guys in a million different ways with dogs, bikes, knives, guns, pots, pans, you name it. He's going to kill you with it. And this show, you could definitely see they're trying to take a different route. And for me, if you're going to take that different route in, not having high-octane action 24/7 throughout the show, then it needs to be a certain level. And for me, the execution of this story, I didn't enjoy it. Each episode feels like a mini movie, with the longest episode being over an hour and a half. And I felt there was just too much going on. There were some cool moments, don't get me wrong, but I did find myself losing interest in certain parts of the series. There are some filler moments that don't really add much to the story. And at these times in the show, I needed it to be a lot more concise and just get from point A to B, just make it sharper. Also, for me, this show should have been called Winston, because in my opinion, the story, it doesn't focus on the Continental Hotel throughout the series. To be honest, we're hardly in the hotel, and it's not until the last 45 minutes to an hour that we're in the hotel for a duration where you actually feel like, oh, okay, now this is the Continental. The one thing that this show does execute well, as you would guess, are the fight set pieces. Absolutely brilliant. I loved all of them. Stylish, slick, and over the top, just like the John Wick movies. And there's one fight scene in particular in this series that I wish they put it in one of the other movies, because it was just calling out to be on the big screen, man. So does this show live up to the hype? In my opinion, unfortunately, it doesn't. I think there were many great ideas, and don't get me wrong, there are some cool moments that happen in the show, but the overall execution of the story, and then you add to that with the characters and the character development not being at a high level, disappointing, I'm not going to lie. So with that said, my rating for the Continental is a Lowery, 3 out of 5 stars. It's a show I wouldn't rush to watch, but eventually, if you have a weekend free, I'll tune in.